First two mock drafts are already up and in the books. Now we get ready for mock draft number 3 and almost there to the final mock draft until we got a good idea what we might see in the draft night next week. Here's what we got here for mock draft number 3. Rank it up for me, guys, here on Charger Syndicate. What's going on, you guys? Jake Silva here on Charger Syndicate, giving you everything LA Chargers news. If it is your first time here on the channel, I appreciate you guys to like, subscribe, hit the bell button to keep you up to date on future and past videos of everything LA Chargers news. So the first two mock drafts are finally up and in the books. Now we've got mock draft number 3 here for you guys, and a little bit of some twists and turns from up and over here. You guys cannot wait to see exactly what I have up on my sleeve for this one. So let's get right up into it. Now, there's a ton of trades that happened up in this draft, and this is what's going to be really, really interesting for you guys to kind of wrap around from here. But bear with me, guys. This is going to be really, really good, and I think there's a possibility that this could happen. Now, the LA Chargers end up trading the number 5 pick to the New York Jets for the number 10th pick, and then in this one, the Chargers end up taking offensive tackle Taliese Fuaga from Oregon State. They figure out the right tackle position to kind of give more depth. And honestly, Fuaga, much like how you guys have seen with Rashawn Slater, I think this guy is definitely the real deal. Great feet, great power, great hands, and at the same time, really does provide protection on the right side for Justin Herbert. Now, here's what's going to be interesting about this. All these were traded picks to where we got the 44th, 71, 72, and 77. Now, on the 44th pick, the Chargers end up getting Zach Frazier from West Virginia. Now, they definitely got themselves, at the very least, a top-tier center position player. And in the end, no come-ups at all for any of the top centers there. But this is a good enough pick for the Chargers to really start to think about their center position. And I think Zach Frazier really does fit the bill from here. Now, the Chargers do end up going in this position at 71, and they're going to take a little bit of a underrated player in this position. They take wide receiver Xavier Legette from South Carolina. Now, many people have said Legette is very underrated, a guy that kind of reminds you a little bit of some A.J. Brown and a little mixture of DK Metcalf from his size. But this guy is going to be really, really interesting. I'm excited to kind of see if this would pan out for the Chargers, if they go and get Legette. Not opposed to this move. I think he's at the perfect fit at 71 because this one started dropping down pretty quickly. But I think getting Legette, you do get your wide receiver, means that you've got full confidence and trust in Josh Palmer and with Quentin Johnston, and bringing Legette up in there. Got some power, got some pop, and some great hands as well. A real good underrated pick for the Chargers there at 71. 72, bang, bang. This is where they end up going defensive tackle, and they bring in Kris Jenkins from Michigan. Kris Jenkins really served to be a force on that defensive front line for Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines, and really served up some strong, solid numbers for him as well on the defensive front side. A guy that is a true run stuffer as well when it comes to the opposing run. And I think Kris Jenkins reuniting with Jim Harbaugh, really, really good pickup from here. I like this move for the Chargers. Now, at pick 77, you waited long enough for this one after 4 picks. But this one, this is where Jim Harbaugh gets his guy and gets his dog. This is where the Chargers draft running back Blake Corum from Michigan. I think this is a solid enough position pick here for Blake Corum because of the fact of, one, he produces a lot of really good upside, produces power, and at the same time is a guy that is not afraid and is very willing to score when the situation counts and when it matters. And this is where I think Blake Corum, perfect position, reunites with his former coach. And this is where things get really, really interesting. Now, at the 105 pick, the Chargers end up taking their next big linebacker, a guy that Navarro Bowman really, really wants to end up picking up from here. He's going to voice his opinion. They take Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson. Now, a solid enough linebacker that is at the very least going to give you some very, very good looks from the linebacking position, because the Chargers haven't been able to fill the linebacker position that gives you better coverage from up in the middle, and a guy that basically can be a force as well to get to the quarterback or even stop the run as well. He will be a very good vocalized player as well when it comes to the defense, and something the Chargers really would like to have. Now, nothing's really changed at this point. The Chargers at 110, they do take cornerback Mike Sainristil from Michigan, giving them a shutdown corner next to Asante Samuel, and really is a solid pick. Then they go at the 138th pick. They end up taking Jared Wiley, the tight end, and something that has been popped up a couple times on this mock draft, but a very solid tight end if they can't get the top one. 154 is going to be very interesting because even though they get the center, they get the tackle, now it's kind of time to get a little bit of depth in the guard position, and they take Layden Robinson from Texas A&M. Real good, solid player that does prove a little bit more of an upside from here, and a guy that will work around with Zion and also with Jamar Salyer, something that I think really will help for the Chargers moving forward in case of an injury does drop. Now, the safety position is actually pretty interesting from here. I have the Chargers at 181 taking Evan Williams, the safety from Oregon. A little bit of some Oregon familiarity, even for guys like Troy Dye and Justin Herbert. Evan Williams, though, solid enough safety. You're not going to get a ton of production up from that side, but when you're around Derwin James and you're around Alohi Gilman, you are going to, at the very least, get the best in this safety room, and I think Evan Williams definitely meshes in at 181. 196, another traded pick from here that the Chargers accumulated, and they do go with the running back room, and they take Isaac Guerendo from Louisville. Not a sexy pick, but at the same time, a good guy to really have in the running back room, now signing J.K. Dobbins, and really somebody that you would want to have reliably for this running back room in case of injuries. And I think Guerendo, when you watched him up in Louisville, not a bad pick for a running back, and honestly, kind of gives you a little bit more upside. And the defensive tackle position at 209 still stays the same at Logan Lee from Iowa, so I still have the Chargers maybe potentially taking him. Now, 225. I'm surprised that this even landed up in the Chargers plate, but they still take another Michigan player, and they take center Drake Nugent. Isn't that interesting how the fact that just landed on the Chargers' lap there at 225? Drake Nugent, very good center option, especially when you're building up that center depth between him and Zach Frazier that they got at 44. So at least with the Chargers, they know that they're going to get a solid enough center group that they really want to build up for the next 5 years to at least keep that offensive line solid and strong. And not to mention, they also accumulated the 2025 second-round pick from the New York Jets as well that allowed them to get the 10th and many more multiple picks as well. So this was a solid enough, trading spree that Jim Harbaugh could potentially go in. I'm not mad at this one. I think this is a very, very interesting one. Could potentially happen, but this is exactly how I kind of outlook the Chargers really moving forward up on this one in particular. That's all here from mock draft number 3, fourth and final mock draft for the Chargers coming up your way in the next video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on LA Chargers news. Rank this one up, how you guys feel about mock draft number 3. Jake Silva signing off. We'll see you guys on the fourth and final mock draft video here on Chargers Syndicate. See you later, guys.